Sally Jacobs, and welcome to a very special Qlik LinkedIn Live as we come together on International Women's Day to launch Women Who Qlik. Now, Women Who Qlik is all about empowerment. It's a platform dedicated to showcasing the incredible successes, insights, and experiences of women who've really made their mark in the world of data. And today I'm joined by 3 women who have done exactly that and who are also the inspiration and, should I say, founding members of Women Who Qlik. They are past and present members of our Luminary and Education Ambassador communities. So I'd like to welcome Gwendolyn Stamp, Steph Robinson, Priscila Papazissis. So let's get started. So welcome, ladies. If you could also just introduce yourself to our audience that we've got here today. And if Steph, I could start with you, please.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So my name is Steph Robinson. I work for JBS USA. I'm an IT manager there, and I've been working with Qlik for the past 10 years. And I'm a Qlik luminary. So really great to be here.
Great to have you. And Priscila?
Hello, everyone. I'm Priscila Papazissis. I work with Qlik since 2013. I'm a head of data and analytics in transition of my career.
And Gwen?
Hello, everyone. I'm Gwendolyn Stamp. I have been working with Qlik since 2007, and I'm really honored to be here today and thankful and appreciative to be part of this special community and the Qlik Luminary alum as well.
Perfect. So let's get started in our conversation today. So I know that we've talked very much amongst ourselves about our personal journeys and kind of how we initially got into the world of data. And Steph, we've had many conversations about that. So if I could just come to you really about your personal journey and
Sure.
how you got to where you are.
Sure. Kind of interesting, my journey, because I did not start out in IT or in data. I started out with an art career and then kind of moved into business. I found myself as a single mom back in Australia, so with an 11, 12-year-old daughter, and needing to make money. And I applied for a job with actually CSIRO in Australia. Quite interesting that I ended up being an exec assistant to a climate change scientist who was really very data driven. And I just got so excited about like the data world. And then my career kind of moved from there over to like working for Australian government. Again, I started as an EA, and then within a very short amount of time got moved into a data environment, and I kind of like my data-driven career was born from that point. So and eventually kind of moved into the Qlik space, which we'll talk about as we move on.
Perfect. And some people say that data analytics is a bit like art. So you're probably in the right place, really.
Interesting. A ton of artists have ended up in data, and I think a ton of people in data have ended up in art. So I find that very interesting. Yeah.
Perfect. Priscila, how about your personal journey?
My journey started in 2002. I am graduated in computer science, and I had a subject in the university called data warehouse modeling, and I love it. And my professor in that time is 73 years old now. He's a famous writer here in Brazil and still gives me advice, Carlos Barbieri. Thank you for everything in the beginning. Professionally, I started in data world in 2003 when I was chosen as a trainee in a multinational steel tube industry. And my manager called me and said, here are our data warehouse, we'll take care of it, we'll expand it. And it's funny because I didn't do anything else than working with data in this more than 20 years. And from that time until now, it's a passion. In 2013, when I started to work with Qlik, something happened again, and a data discovery tool on my hands. It was fantastic. I could see how good things we could do for our business users. So I became Qlik Luminary. I became Qlik Educator Ambassador, because I give classes in post-graduation in the university. So data is my world. I love it.
I know you do. And Gwen, in terms of your personal, what would you like to tell the audience?
Yeah, I also arrived late on the scene in my career, so to speak. I was the non-traditional college student. I went back to college some 10 years after graduating because I really, honestly, I wasn't exposed to sort of data and analytics as a possibility in my journey. I was really looking more at things that were like teaching and education and counseling and these things, which are great careers. But I didn't have a real passion there, so it took me some time to get into a math and computer science class at a like an adult campus for going back to college. And I would say that, as Priscilla said, sometimes when you've sparked and ignited a passion, and that was really the beginning of my journey. I knew from that moment that I wanted to be in programming and finding answers and solutions and learning what I could from those solutions. So yeah, that was the beginning. And we'll talk a little bit more about, how that evolved over time. But I would say that's how I got introduced at the very beginning to where I am today.
Amazing. Everyone's had different journeys, which is really common, actually, isn't it? Especially for women going into more STEM fields and STEM careers. So Gwen, if I could kind of ask you, you said that you came in quite late to data. If you like, what kind of advice would you give to people who, are thinking maybe they do want to go into data, but they're not at their early stages of their career? Like, how would you kind of describe it to them?
I would say, first of all, it is never too late. It is never too late to pursue an interest or specifically a passion, because that's what I did. And I feel like, be brave, be confident, be curious, and pour into you. And don't be afraid to ask questions and challenge things. But for me, I mentioned going back to school, and it took a few years really as an adult even to finish that program. And as I kind of touched on earlier, my first professional role, once I had that programming degree that I fought so hard for, my first professional role was a WebSphere portal admin. So I didn't really do anything in the data realm. And it took a transition to my next role, which is really where I was introduced to Qlik. But I was persistent, and I was flexible and adaptable and open to how can I develop this love, this interest, like what is next? And I was just open to whatever the journey, really brought to me. And eventually it put me in the right place at the right time to make, my green passion evident to everyone.
No, that's perfect. And there was a lot of nodding heads on that. And Priscilla, if I could just come to you, I know you do a lot of work with universities. When we met up in Lund, that you were just delivered a lecture there, which was really exciting. Kind of, what do you say to kind of some students who are considering, especially female students? And are you seeing a good number in the lectures that you're delivering and who you're talking to?
In fact, no.
Okay.
And I give classes since 2008 in the graduation courses of computer science. And I say that sometimes I was the only woman in the class. So we should do things like that we are doing now to show that it's possible. Yeah. Everybody can study technology, that can be a computer programming. I have a daughter of 15 years old, and she looks at me and she sees that I love what I do. So it's very possible, and we have to show this to the world, I think.
I completely agree. And this is what Women Who Qlik and people that are involved in data is all about, really. Now, Steph, let's talk a little tiny bit about the impact of Qlik kind of on your working life, because I know I've had this conversation with you quite a few times, and I'm always struck by the passion in terms of when you found Qlik and really embraced it, and how it's really helped you in your career.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of interesting for me. I started work. I did some work with Tableau, and it really piqued my interest in just kind of business intelligence tools. And I ended up in another company that I'm in now. And just by kind of process of elimination, I ended up in a position having to look after Qlik database and Qlik apps. And I really had to kind of like teach myself. And I always was a little bit insecure, I think, about like, oh, could I script? Could I build an app? Could I do any of this? And I dove in and just, spent the time to learn. And the thing that I found so great about Qlik is it just, it made it very easy for me. It allowed me to kind of enter into a kind of an IT data space that I didn't feel confident in and get a lot of confidence around it. And so then I ended up, which kind of happens to me a lot, and we've discussed this, I always kind of end up in like a lead role or a manager role, even if I'm trying to kind of be the quiet person working, that kind of happens.
You're not quiet.
Yeah. And so, I ended up in a lead position there, leading kind of that Qlik space, and then moved over to JBS and, have just learned in leaps and bounds around, IT systems, coding, building apps, all around the Qlik space. So I think it was Qlik that really cemented my ability to kind of move it, into being an IT manager, which really was a dream for me. And in the beginning, I didn't think that was possible. And I do not have a university IT background at all. My background was all business, and I really came from the business side. So yeah, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think Priscila touched on my next kind of topic a little bit when she was talking about her lecturer. And, she's had someone who really encouraged her. And we all need allies in life. And we definitely need them, I think, even more so as a woman in business. And so is there someone in your career, in your past, that you'd like to give a shout out to for really kind of seeing something, helping you develop, being that person who, when you're having those moments of doubts, like having your back? Because we all have them, and they're fantastic when we do. So Gwen, if I could just come to you.
Absolutely. I can't say enough how unique and how thankful, unique the journey was, and how thankful I am for the journey. But part of that, a very, very big part of that, was a very impactful mentor that I had the first 3 years of my career, really when I got into, data. And Melanie, you know who you are. But I would say she, if I could put it into words, the opportunity that she thought I'd be a great fit for, she was 100% right. And she made Qlik was my playground. Qlik was what I wanted it to be. And I loved it. And so once I got in and sort of got over my fear of, this was my first job and this huge responsibility to deliver, it was like all new, this is your job. You're going to deliver this to the business. Once I got over the fear of breaking the whole company and doing something wrong and erasing all the data and all this kind of stuff, once I got over that fear, and she helped me through that, of course, it was like things just skyrocketed for me, because she would guide me, and I would come to her and I would say, I have this idea. What are your thoughts? Or, hey, this is a suggestion I have about how we could get this out there. What are your thoughts? And sometimes I would go to her and say, I'm not sure I can do that. Yes, you can do that. I know that you can do that because you've done it, so having her for those first 3 years cemented, sort of my passion for Qlik, and also gave me such confidence. And I mentioned earlier how you can prepare for these things. You can't. You never know what your journey is going to be. So your journey is the journey, I think. And part of her inspired me also to reach out to others. So while I was there, I created this Southeastern user group for the Qlik community in the region, which touched somewhere between 200-300 companies, all the way from like Virginia to Alabama. And, having her support and having her believe in me gave me the confidence and the strength to just pursue those things. Just like, almost like mom had my back. I know I don't want to call her mom. Melanie is amazing. But it's super important to find someone that you can be open with and you can be honest with, and they can really steer you through, the challenges and give you ideas,
Yeah. And I think that's why Luminary is so important, and the communities that Qlik has for partners and, the university. I think that's really important as well. And Steph, like coming to you about Ally, it doesn't seem like you've got one person. You always talk about you've got a whole company like at the back that's very supportive, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Well, I kind of think too, if I look at, my journey, and I agree with Gwen, like you don't know how your journey is going to come together, but you have a persistence and an intention to go somewhere. And I think for me, my first introduction really to Qlik, and someone who just kind of is a very dear friend of mine now, a guy named Craig, who I worked with, just phenomenal IT person. And, we became friends, but he just encouraged me. And also another person in that same company, Teresa, who just those two really had my back over for a lot of things. Excuse me. And just really, really encouraged me to kind of move forward and move for my dream. And then, when moving to JBS, I got interviewed by my current manager when I applied for a position there, and it wasn't the position I applied for. And I ended up working with her, and she saw something, and we clicked. Girls that click, women that click. We clicked. Yeah. And, we have just done so much together, and she has just been an amazing, amazing mentor for me. Annalie Munns, who I think a lot of you have probably met. She has really directed me to be all I can in the IT field, and I really did not, when I first started, I did not have the confidence to, make it in IT, let alone be a manager. And she has really just kind of like given me things and allowed me to grow. Absolutely fabulous. And I really think it's so important for anyone who wants to kind of move forward is to find people that are like them and that can mentor them and that believe in you. It's just so important. And I think, that when we look at the title of like Women That Qlik, that's really what it's about, isn't it? It's about having someone who kind of loves you and is your friend and is going like, girl, you're going to make it, like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's really like someone going, hey, yeah, I got it, that maybe you don't think you can and you have a dream. Well, I'm here to make sure you have a dream. And I think this group is very much about helping women achieve those dreams.
Exactly, Steph. I put it better myself. That's exactly what Women Who Qlik is designed to do and wants to do. So just coming on to, and there's been a lot of discussion in all technology industries, especially around innovation, that, you need diversity to have real innovation, and also innovation that works and actually is real. And that debate is coming to AI quite a lot as well in terms of that. And in light of that, kind of what trends do you see in kind of the data field, and what role do you think women have to really be at the heart of that? Let me go to Priscilla first with that one.
Okay. To know data is fundamental for the career development in every area, every role position. But I think we are living inside these artificial intelligence trends. So traditional generative AI, but I think that we should connect these subjects with others that we still need the workforce. That is data governance, data security, data quality, data products, and data literacy to spread this data voice, to make people understand how to work with data in the best way possible. So we have many role positions open, and it can be filled by men, by women. And I think we have this look for the things we can connect. We are able to share. So these are some fields that I believe that we need to reinforce the competencies in the next months or next years. And to be in these trends, we have to encourage the participation of women in schools, universities, in the companies. When I am giving my post-graduation classes here in Brazil, I always take care of the women that are on my class, because I try to show them that we can do everything, we can be everywhere. So this is my belief. We don't have many women in the classes, as I said, but I think we should change this story and try to move forward. I had a manager who was, as Steph told, the person who mentored. I did a mentorship with her, and she always encouraged me to be in the leadership. So I think we have to do some things. We have to put women on focus and try to move forward with this kind of situation we live now.
Yeah, perfect. I completely agree. Gwen, can I kind of ask your thoughts on the same subject?
Yes. So I would say I had the opportunity to listen to a presentation yesterday that touches on something that I think is really relevant. Thank you, Dr. Fulbright at USC Upstate. I didn't mention that I'm also a master's student, getting my master's in business analytics, and the class that I am taking right now that is really interesting is the generative AI course. And yesterday he shared this concept that I thought was really, really interesting, and it's called the democratization of expertise. So what does that mean? The introduction of generative AI, we all know, is going to have a significant impact on our world, and specifically, let's talk about industries and jobs. But it is also going to democratize expertise. So we can be in roles that just 2 years ago we would not have had access to, because the technology is going to create experts, right, and enhance capabilities, knowledge, where you can, and also create new roles. There will be a lot of roles that will be required to work with, to train people how to ethically work with the technology. But I think in all, it's mind blowing to think about the impact that it's going to have. So there's an opening, there's opportunity, and we need to engage in those roles, encourage others as well, so that we don't lose the human element, of that revolution.
Yeah.
It should work for us and not against us.
Yeah. I know, Steph, you were nodding there.
Yeah.
In terms of, you see this as well.
Yeah, totally agree, Gwen, with what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to change tack away from data for a little bit, and just to ask a couple of personal questions just to kind of round out our conversation today. So how do you kind of balance it all? We've all got busy lives. We're all consumed by data, never sleeps. So how do you have any tips in terms of really balancing kind of your life and also your career as well? So Steph, if I could kind of come to you first.
I've always had to work hard my whole life. Ending up being a single mom. I've traveled all over the world. I've done all kinds of like really cool and some crazy things. But one of the things I think I learned very early on was, you have to work hard to be able to have a life. You have to work hard to achieve your dreams. Things aren't just handed to you. So like in Australia, we call it doing hard yards. And I do think you do your hard yards and you work hard, and then life kind of balances. So I make sure I make time, to take time off and do the things I love to do. I love cars. I love skiing. I love art. I love all kinds of stuff. I love my family and spending time. So I think you have to prioritize time in your week for all of those things that you love. But I also think as you go through your career and you work hard, and sometimes you kind of have that feeling of like, oh my God, is all I'm doing just like working? And, when is it going to come to like a time when I'm not working? Well, maybe there's not going to be a time you're not working, but all that hard work you do, I think, comes back to you. So, I think you do your hard yards to get your rewards. And I think that kind of creates your work-life balance. And I think if you're doing something you love, how much of that is work? I think if, when you really are achieving your goals and you're doing something you love, it's amazing. It becomes, I think it defines a lot of your life, and it gives you your life. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Priscilla, if I could ask you the same question.
I agree with Steph. I love to travel. You know that, my friends, Gwen and Steph and Sally. I love to be with my family. I have 2 kids, my husband, to have a dinner. So I love to work. I try to do the best work I can every day. But I think these moments made us a better person, better manager, better colleagues. We need to have this balance. We have to have this balance to be a person that is good to others. So it's not just for us, it's for the world around us. So I try to balance all of my roles during a week, just because I believe in that.
Yeah, perfect. And Gwen?
So I haven't always been the best at balance. I'm like, I'm a really a hard worker, and I say hard worker, not that's not necessarily the best way to describe it, but I get tunnel vision and really focused on achieving something. So over time, as my family has grown and all of that, of course, there has to be a balance. But I would say what leads me is, accepting the things that are not as important, right? Like, I'm glad everyone can't see the house right now. But accepting the things that are just not that important, even though you may wish they were different, and moving beyond that to the things that matter. And that is like, I love that Priscilla mentioned travel, because again, we love to travel. I mean, specifically, we're pretty large Florida fans. I won't create a commercial here for a particular place. But yeah, so spending time with the family and doing things that we enjoy doing, and using that to sort of, gel together, and get away from sort of all the focus and all the time where, driven to do the classes or the work or whatever. But I do feel like the work does give me a sense of balance in who I am and how I mentor to my girls, because I have 2 daughters who I have worked really hard to encourage them to find their own journey, and spend time letting them know that whatever their path is, I'm not the decider, but I'm the supporter. And yeah, so it's important for me to have balance and bring that to the family, and make time to get away, and don't sweat the small things.
Don't sweat the small things. Absolutely. Hard to do in Florida sometimes, though. It's very hard.
So true.
The Brit making a US joke, that could have been a bit dodgy. But one of the things I really love about this year's International Women's Day is that it's asking for to celebrate women's achievements. And let's face it, we're not always the most coming forward and kind of talking about something amazing that we've done. Often we're quite, depreciating, and, it wasn't really anything that big, but actually it really was a big deal. So here is like an unashamable, what have you been really proud of recently? So Gwen, if I could go to you in terms of I know it's hard, isn't it? But there we go. You have to do it.
So I guess I'm kind of proud that, after being out of college for, I don't want to say how long, but after being out for nearly 20 years, I decided to go back for a master's, because I'm interested in the current topics, and it takes a commitment, and not just from me, So I'm proud that, my husband and I talked about it, and we do every semester, and we talk about the classes, but I'm really proud that I've got my family's support. I'm proud that I wasn't afraid to do it. I'm the oldest person in the program, maybe. But I think that just, for me, I live what I believe, and that is, it is never too late, and the journey is the journey. So once I get the degree, that's not the end for me, right? That's just part of wherever it is that I'm going, and I'm always evolving. And so, I think that's probably something I'm very proud of.
Really good. I'm sure all your family is very proud of you as well, Gwen, for doing that. And Priscilla, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of being a Qlik luminary and educator ambassador at the same year.
Yes, that's quite amazing.
But I'm proud to be a woman in technology, a field that is still dominated by men, and proud for conquer this path, not being different from them, but doing the same jobs with the same quality, managing teams and classes in the university where I always been respected.
Yeah.
I'm proud to have a daughter and the opportunity to talk to her about this challenge and see her believing that she can do anything she wants. And she loved the unboxing the luminary gifts.
Amazing. It does come with benefits, a lot of benefits, especially a lot of unboxing. You have to be good at unboxing if you're a luminary. Steph, can I just close with you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm very proud of a lot of the achievements that we've made at JBS, like within our BI space. Making it so diverse and collaborative and very different to any other company that I've ever worked in. So I think that's number one, kind of on the work side. I think in my life, I think I'm most proud of being a mom. I think I can kind of tear up just talking about it. I really have done it hard in a lot of ways, and I have the most amazing daughter, who is now a mom herself. So I'm a grandma, and I just have such a great relationship with her, and I look at her and I'm just so proud of the woman she's become. And I do believe like strong women breed strong women, and she's a strong woman, and her young daughter is going to be a strong woman. You can already see it, and I'm so proud of that. And I have now an extended family with 2 stepdaughters and an older granddaughter, and they're just incredibly strong women as well. So I'm proud of all of that. I'm proud of the life and where I've ended up, and I'm definitely proud of this group and everything that we're doing.
Yeah, your family get-togethers must be quite energetic and very noisy, I can imagine, which sounds.
And I'm the quiet one in that group.
Wow, then definitely that would be an amazing thing to attend, wouldn't it? So I know that we could have talked all day on this topic and many other topics, but this is only the beginning of our conversation and only the beginning of Women Who Qlik. We've got a hashtag Women Who Qlik. We've got a full program of activities where we're going to get practical and hands-on, and Gwen's going to kind of be a real part of that because she loves kind of demonstrating the technical side of what we can do, and what you can do with Qlik as well. And we're going to be celebrating amazing women, but also amazing allies as well. So, stories from around the data world, and we just can't wait to share those with everyone and to talk about Florida again. Gwen, we are all going to be in Orlando for Qlik Connect in June, where you'll be able to find us, and there'll be a session, and we can really start to engage with each other and celebrate everything that we can do as Women Who Qlik, which is Qlik as the technology and the company, but also just Qlik in terms of we've all got like-minded, we all want to get ahead, and we all want to celebrate each other. So please, look out for our next session. Share this session with the women in your life and your companies. And we're just so excited, as you can tell, to really drive this forward. So thank you to all of our panelists, all of our guests. And we'll definitely see everyone in Orlando. And please stay, focused and engage with the hashtag, and let us know what you think about the episode. Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you.